Hey guys, Mighty Gazelle here with a very impromptu video, okay? I didn't actually plan on making this until this morning. I got up and he's like, you know what? I want to talk about this, okay? So yesterday, during the EA Play 2021 press conference, they announced a Dead Space remake at the very end of the show. I have a reaction to that, by the way, on my channel if you guys want to check it out. I freaked the hell out because Dead Space, specifically Dead Space 1 and 2, means so much to me, and especially more Dead Space 1. So the point of this video is just sort of a fan kind of rambling about things that I hope they maintain in the remake, things I might want them to improve. Just sit back, relax, and listen to this geek kind of just say a few thoughts, okay? Again, this is unscripted. This is just sort of, I'm still coming off the high of the announcement yesterday. It was rumored before the announcement that it was going to come out, but when you see it, that's when you truly believe it, right? Very excited. But before I begin, I want to tell you guys why Dead Space means so much to me. And I'm going to have a timestamp here somewhere that you can skip ahead if you don't want to hear my prologue story as to this. So flashback to, I think it was about like 2008, 2009. I think Dead Space came out in 2008, like late 2008. I was in middle school and I didn't have a 360 or a PS3 yet. They had been out for a few years, but I had just moved to a new state, and someone who I was eating lunch with, his name is Joel, I'm not gonna say the last name. He's like, hey, there's this really awesome game that just came out or is about to come out. It's called Dead Space. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I go home and I look up and I'm like, wow, this is a really mature game. I was like, I had to have been 12, 13 at the time. And I look it up, like, yeah, I've never played a game like that before, but it looks absolutely terrifying, right? I had grown up on GameCube, Game Boy Advance, PS2. I'd never really played anything mature. I was 12, 13 years old, right? And I think that fall or like early next year, I got a 360. And I was like, hey, Joel, I got a 360. And he's like, you should get Dead Space then. I was like, you know what? Okay, sure. I don't really have any games for it yet. So I think I asked my mom to buy it or something because you can't buy it a rated M game as a 13-year-old. At least proper places wouldn't let you. So I bring the game home, right? Put it in, and immediately I am just immersed in this world that is Dead Space and the Ishimura and everything that the team was able to create, right? I had never experienced a game, first of all, that had that much immersion in it, because like I said, it was just, I always played like GameCube and Zelda games and stuff where I have immersion, but Dead Space, from the second you begin, and it's showing you the footage of Nicole, and you crash on the Ishimura and just shit hits the fan. I don't know, something about that really just hooked me. But here's the thing. The game scared the shit out of me, right? I could barely get more than a chapter before I was like turning on all the lights, because I was playing it at night. I turned on all the lights and I don't know, I had the TV playing in the background. Anything to like make it easier on myself, because I was terrified. Never played a game like that before in my life. And then I just kept pushing myself, and I don't know why. I was absolutely agonizing every turn, because something could jump out of a ceiling. It could just come up behind you and just scare the shit out of you, which it often did all the time. If you could play Dead Space, you know what I'm talking about. And I would just push myself, and I don't know why, but it was just, it was so cool experiencing something like that for the first time, right? And lo and behold, I eventually did beat the game and stuff, and uh, the lasting impact it had on me, that was my first true moment with a rated M game, right? A game, it was gory, it didn't hold back. Like when you died, those things ripped you apart. They would like put their hand in your skull and play like a puppet, not literally, but it was gruesome. And everything from the sound design to the weapons, it was just, everything about it was so entertaining to me. And for that reason, it just stuck in my memory as like such a great experience despite it like being terrorizing to me, right? So okay, so here's the part where I probably told everyone to go to in the timestamp. So if you didn't listen to my backstory, anyway. So with all that being said, I have some hopes and some fears as to what they could do with this remake. Now, I believe this is being made by Motive Studios. They, as far as I know, the only game they've made is the recent Star Wars Squadrons, which is sort of a spin-off of Battlefront, but it was just based in space. I didn't play it myself. I wanted to, but never got around to it. But I heard really good things about the game, and they seem very capable, right? Since the game was announced, IGN has come out with a few articles detailing a few things because clearly they had information about this before it got announced. They got to talk to the team and stuff. And one of the big concerns that people probably immediately had was, oh no, like look what EA did with Dead Space 3. Like they kind of forced microtransactions into the game. Is that going to be a thing in this remake? And they came out right out and said, no, there's absolutely zero microtransactions in this game. They said it is not in the plans and they don't want it to be in there. So boom, right off the bat, that's one you don't have to worry about. That was something that kind of was the downfall of Dead Space. Dead Space 1 was very much like 70% horror, 30% action. Dead Space 2, pretty healthy balance, honestly. It was probably like 55% horror, 45% action. I do prefer it to be a little bit more horror, but Dead Space 2 is still great. Dead Space 3, not only did it include co-op, which immediately when you're playing with someone, that eliminates a lot of the fear, right? But I'd say it was like 30% horror, 70% action. Like there were times you would get scared, and sure the settings were uneasy and stuff sometimes, but it very much kind of pushed horror aside in favor of action. And like I said, they had microtransactions to help you with customization and getting materials, and it wasn't Dead Space. So I'm glad to hear that there's no microtransactions in Dead Space 1. My second point is Dead Space 1 is unique in the sense that Isaac is actually a silent protagonist. He doesn't talk. He'll yell and shout after like taking damage, and you hear his breathing in space when he's breathing in the oxygen. You hear stuff like that, but you don't hear him like any dialogue, any sentences from him. The story is very much told through the characters around him. Now I'm very curious because in one of the other articles that IGN had, they mentioned how they planned on taking the best elements from 2 and 3. They said that was one of the benefits to doing this remake, is you actually got to see where the series progressed to, so they can add little pieces of history and lore throughout the game wherever they need to, wherever it makes sense. But it's interesting when they say take elements from the other games. Isaac gained a voice, essentially, in Dead Space 2 and 3. He talked a lot more. He was the main character. He was the main character before, but the story was also told through him in that sense, that he talked with the other characters. Dead Space 1, though, if I had a preference, and I don't care whichever they do, if they do it voiced, I'm sure it'll be great. I hope they get the same voice actor. I forget his name, but they actually modeled Isaac Clarke after this actor, right? I hope they bring him back, and I'd be totally cool with that. But if I had my choice, I would go silent, and that's because the game feels so much more gripping into this atmosphere when you truly feel like the person behind the control is like you kind of feel like you're Isaac, right? Because Isaac doesn't talk, there's no voice for the other characters. You are the only thing that drives Isaac. And when you don't hear him talk back to his comrades, that just makes the times you do hear them on the radio all that much more like inviting, because oh yes, I get to hear another human's voice, because like Isaac doesn't do that, right? So the only sounds you do get to hear are the creaking of the ship, which is and the whispers in the hallways and the growls of a creature as it goes in the vents above you, right? And the Ishimura just feels like this sinking submarine, and the noises it makes as it slowly implodes on itself with just this undead crew walking around. something about having a silent protagonist was really nice to me. And I very much enjoyed the voice of Isaac and all the characters in 2 and 3. I love the way he portrayed himself as a character. He was great. But I think to preserve what Dead Space 1 was in this remake, I would prefer, again, a silent protagonist. But okay, so a third thing, this is actually kind of funny because I actually don't think the game has aged bad at all, the original game. It might be 13 years old at this point, but go back and play it, and it still looks pretty great, honestly. The sound effects are amazing, the lighting is awesome. Sure, the texture work might be a little bit like muddy compared to today, obviously. Same with some of the models, like the human models, they aren't like super crisp all the time and stuff. But you play that and you can't say it's an ugly game. It actually holds up really well and it plays really well still. This isn't a game that needed a remake in the sense that the original was like severely outdated. It wasn't really like a Resident Evil situation where sure, people still love the old Resident Evil games, but they unlike those games that kind of needed the facelift, Dead Space 1 isn't really that old. It was a 360 game, so it's not like that old. But again, this is a remake. It's not a remaster. This is a ground up for the current gen of consoles, the PS5, Xbox Series X, PC. It skipped an entire generation, plus most of the 360 generation, because this was an earlier 360 game, right? Well, not earlier. I guess it was like mid 360 lifespan. But man, I can't wait to see how this game looks. The teaser, if anything, was a great indication. I loved seeing the lights pop up on Isaac's back, and you see like the necromorph in the background. And I also love the detail of having the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, like sung by Nicole once again, playing. It's very evocative to the first trailer of the original game. All very awesome. So this kind of goes without saying. I hope they maintain the spirit of the visuals. Like, have darkness just illuminated by flickering lights and just I'm not worried about this. I feel like if anything they're gonna get right, it's gonna be the look and the feel. So I'm not even worried at all. I'm not worried in general about the remake, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And lastly, if there was one thing I would hope that they would improve upon or adjust in some way, it would be the guns. Now, I want to preface this by saying I think the plasma cutter is the greatest starting weapon in gaming history. There is no other gun that ties so well with the mechanic of the game like the plasma cutter. For those of you who don't know, the plasma cutter, it's so simple, the gimmick, yet it is so amazing. So the point of combat in Dead Space isn't to go for headshots or to just pump bullets into the enemy like most games. Because most games you're trained to shoot the head or like just hit them a bunch of times and you're good. Not in Dead Space. You saw it in the teaser trailer, cut off their limbs. That is the way to play Dead Space. You shoot off the legs, you shoot off the arms, and then if they're still moving, go for the head. This isn't a Thanos situation where he's like, you should have gone for the head. That's not the case here. You go for the arms, you go for the legs. That's how you beat the enemies. The plasma cutter was genius. It had 3 vertical lines, three dots. It would either go this way or up and down. You could change. It was an alternate firing mode. If you want to shoot horizontally, boom, you can take out the legs. If you flip it vertically, boom, you can take out the arms. Amazing gun. Now, the other guns, they vary in terms of use and effectiveness, and that's kind of the one area I would really suggest that you can just tinker around with some things, right? I think most people ended up just pumping a bunch of power nodes into the assault rifle, because the assault rifle, yeah, it's amazing. I haven't been in huge discussions with a lot of Dead Space fans on what they preferred, but I can only imagine most people rock the assault rifle. It is so powerful. It's accurate, holds a lot of ammo in the clip. You rarely have to reload it if you upgrade it a lot. And it's just awesome. It's a great gun. Same with like the force gun, really, really helpful in terms of crowd control. But then you have some other guns that really, they're cool in design and concept, but they turned out to not be that effective. And what I'm thinking of when it comes to mind is the flamethrower. The flamethrower is probably the weakest weapon in the game. And that sucks because it's a freaking flamethrower, right? You'd hope it maybe be a little more powerful, or maybe it could stun the enemy. Like, it stunned the enemies, but I mean, like, maybe send them to a frenzy where they don't know where to attack. Add some effects to it to make it more of a viable weapon, it was pretty weak before. Even if you upgraded it, it was pretty lackluster. The saw blade comes to mind. The concept, again, really awesome. You have a saw blade that gets jettisoned from the gun, and it levitates like feet out and spins, and you can just use it to cut off their arms and legs. And it was pretty good, but I feel like you could have even gone a little bit more with it. I feel like if it had a little more punch to it, I think a lot of people would probably use the saw blade more. I'm sure a lot of people did because it's freaking awesome. It's a saw blade. But I think most people probably resorted to just using the plasma cutter, the assault rifle, probably the force gun. At least me personally, I thought the force gun was really effective because I think the alternate fire was a single precise blast. Maybe that was Dead Space 2. I might be getting that confused, but maybe even add some new guns. I think a shotgun would be really cool, although that kind of defeats the purpose because you want to cut off the limbs, and a shotgun's very much a full blast type thing. I guess if you made it accurate, you could have it like you could aim for the legs and the arms and stuff. So adding a shotgun would be cool. I think a shotgun's a staple of horror games, which is like easily the only glaring omission from the Dead Space 1 weapons list was a shotgun. Yeah, the contact beam was really a really good weapon. I love the weapons in Dead Space, and I just hope that they maybe like bounce them out a little bit. I'm not saying nerf like the plasma cutter or the assault rifle, but just kind of make all the weapons really feel worthwhile. So yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it for just kind of my thoughts about what I hope to see in this remake. I hear that Motive is calling in fans to get their opinion on various things they're working on. I doubt they'll listen to this video, but if you are, give me a call. I'm down to whatever Skype call. Hell, I'll even drive over and give my input because I love Dead Space. And I love that they're really sincerely taking fan feedback, and that they're not just doing this just to make it, not just because they were, they signed a paperwork saying, hey, make this and we'll pay you. That's not, they seem to be very passionate about it. And, yeah, that's good. That's all you really want to hear. Someone who's passionate behind the project. And yeah, I do want to add, like, there's sort of a bit of a sad aspect to this remake. By the way, that ends the conclusion to my thoughts about the remake, what I hope to see, and just kind of overall thoughts about the franchise. I'm just going to add a little note here at the end. This is sort of a personal nag. It does kind of suck that Visceral Games, they closed down in 2017, right? And this game was very much their crown jewel. It was the game that put them on the map, and people remember them for. Visceral Games and Dead Space, it was critically acclaimed and everyone loved it. And it was just so sad to see kind of the downward spiral of what happened with them. I mentioned this in the beginning of my video, how Dead Space 2 comes out, everyone loves Dead Space 2. Dead Space 3 comes out, but it's plagued by decisions that are questionable, and they didn't really take the series in the right way that it should have gone. It didn't perform well, and then they started working on games that weren't really even. I think they worked on the Battlefield Hardline. I think that was the last game they worked on, and it's just so strange to me that like only like barely 4 years after the studio gets closed down, they order a remake of their crown jewel. It's kind of like a spit in the face, but like, I don't know. Nothing against Motive, because I think Motive, like I said, they seem very passionate and they're very happy to do this. This is nothing against them. I hope they have a wonderful time making this, and I expect it'll be amazing because it just seems, it feels right. I just want to say I condolences to all the people who worked on the original from Visceral Games. It's just kind of sad to see that after they get closed down from kind of a rocky development from various other games to seeing someone else remake their beloved game just so many short years after they're closed. But, it is what it is. It's a business. So yeah, I just want to mention that. But I think, anyway, I'm excited for this Dead Space remake. I don't know how many people are going to watch this. It might be like 10 people. I don't know. But I just feel like sharing my thoughts. Just kind of rambling. Because Dead Space means a lot to me. It's definitely It's funny. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but Dead Space is actually the only really horror franchise I love. I've tried many others before. I've tried Resident Evil. I've tried Silent Hill. I just couldn't really get into them, and I just I don't know why. Like I don't like the games where you have to hide from monsters and you can't fight back and stuff. I'm not saying Resident Evil and Silent Hill aren't those games, but those where you hide in the locker and you wait for the guy to walk by. Give me a game where I stand a fighting chance, where I'm a badass, but I'm not overpowered, right? Isaac Clarke is that character to me. Terrified beyond belief. He doesn't want to be there. Shit sucks, but he does it anyway for the one he loves. And he grabs all these different mining equipment and uses them as weapons. And it's just so cool. I don't know. So yeah, that's all I really want to say. Hopefully someone out there found this entertaining. And to everyone else, hope I didn't bore you, you know. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. And I do have Let's Plays for Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 on my channel. Dead Space 1 Let's Play is very outdated. I actually think I might have to redo that before the remake comes out. It was very early on my channel. My Dead Space 2 Let's Play is pretty good. I'll have the links to those in banners somewhere. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this has been Mighty Gazelle, hoping you all have a mighty day. See you guys.